surgery. Leroy Thompson is their ace running back. But defensively, they finished third in the National Football League. To win today, not only will they have to stop Kansas City, they are going to have to create turnovers. And, of course, to get to the Super Bowl, they'll have to win 3 games on the road, a very daunting task. Against the Kansas City Chiefs, they had a team that rarely made it to the playoffs in the 70s and 80s, but they're regular guests now in the 90s.
They really are, Al. This is the 4th consecutive year that Marty Schottenheimer has taken his Chiefs club into the playoffs, and unfortunately for Kansas City, they've had precious little success. How are they going to change that? Well, they went out and got themselves some experience in the form of Joe Montana and Marcus Allen. Today is the 20th playoff start for Joe Montana, and this Kansas City franchise so believes in Montana and Allen that if they start hot today, if they get this game off to a good start, the rest of the team will surely follow. We're fortunate today to have somebody working the sidelines with us. No stranger to a football field, our ABC colleague, Lynn Swan. What's going on down there, Swanee?
Dan, thank you very much. We're talking about Montana and getting pressure on them. This Steeler defense has initiated some new blitzes for this ball game. They're going to try and come at him from the inside so he can't step up in the pocket. But Montana, they told me, has always had a problem throwing in cold weather. But guess what? Montana, for the first time in his career, is wearing a glove just like this. He tried it for the first time yesterday. I caught passes from him today. He gets great rotation. For a few seconds today, he tried throwing without the glove on the hand. He put it back on. So watch him today. I think he's going to have a good one just throwing the football because he's now confident in how he can grip the football. Frank?
Well, I wondered where you got those gloves, Swanee.
Well, Frank, it might be 11:30 in the morning here in Kansas City, but we are ready for some football, and the NFL postseason is underway as the Chiefs receive Gary Anderson to kick off. John Stevens, the former Patriot and Packer, runs it back to the 20-yard line. Rico Mack makes the tackle for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Joe Montana, his 20th postseason game. He is 14-5 in postseason, including 4-0 in the Super Bowl. 15th year in the league. Marcus Allen and Kimball Anders in the backfield. Burden and Davis are the wideouts, and Jonathan Hayes more a part of the passing game than ever, the tight end. Aldzot, Grunhard, Shields, a great-looking rookie who's done a wonderful job, and Sigler up front. Montana to the air on first down, and over the middle, it's incomplete. The pressure was put on by Kevin Green, and he has made a big difference for the Steelers this season. 12.5 sacks, leads the club. Let's take a look at that Pittsburgh defense. A base 3-4. Davidson, Steed, and Evans up front. Then the linebackers, the aforementioned Green, Kirkland, and Chad Brown, a rookie from Colorado, in the middle, and Greg Lloyd, their big gun. Woodson and Johnson are the corners. Lake and Perry are the safeties. Rod Woodson was the AP's Defensive Player of the Year. Marcus Allen through the middle. Exploits that hole for a pickup of 4 to the 24-yard line. The safety, Darren Perry, comes up to stop him. It'll be 3rd and 6 for Kansas City.
On the first passing situation, we just might advise you also that we haven't told Rod Woodson and Marty Schottenheimer told us that he anticipated this. Rod Woodson will be locked up with Willie Davis, the speedy wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs. DJ Johnson be working primarily against J.J. Burton.
3rd and 5 with the ball at the 25-yard line on the opening drive of the game. That's Marcus Allen in motion. Montana, that short drop and a quick pass, and it's knocked down by Deion Figures, their top draft choice from Colorado, who comes in the nickel. And so the Chiefs are 3 and out, and Barker comes in to kick.
Well, the Pittsburgh Steelers anticipating that it's going to be a short passing game to start this thing with the Kansas City Chiefs, and they are smothering everybody in that 5 to 8 yard range. And the next time the Kansas City Chiefs get the football, I think it'd be well advised to stretch the field a little bit, send somebody deep. The Steelers are hovering close to the line.
Brian Barker kicking. Rod Woodson back to receive it. Woodson takes it at the 29-yard line. And Woodson coming back the other way. And Rod, who must have run 70 yards, nets 3. A 46-yard kick, and Woodson takes it back to the 34-yard line.
Only 3 yards, but a lot of fun to watch.
He'd have lost about 10 yards if it wasn't for Carnell Lake that came back with a big block.
Neil O'Donnell, 4th year out of Maryland, bothered all year with tendonitis of the elbow and a shoulder bruise, but missed only one start, that on opening day. Hodge and Thompson, the running backs. Graham and Stone, the wideouts. Eric Green is the big guy, their leading receiver, the tight end. Jackson Love, Dawson to the Pro Bowl, Hasselrig, a former Pro Bowler, and Searcy up front. And this is Leroy Thompson, and that's a play you'll see more than once today. They like to keep it on the ground. Their wide receivers are very ordinary. Gain of 3, 2nd and 7. Kansas City's defensive unit. Derek Thomas playing in a down position this year, so it's a base 4-3. Smith led the league in sacks with 15. Phillips and Saliamua in the middle. Rogers, Simeon, and March are the linebackers. Albert Lewis having a terrific year. Jay Taylor on the other side. Bayless and Ross. Kevin, the longtime cornerback, was turned into a free safety in midseason. Double tight end set, 2nd and 7. The catch is made by Jeff Graham, and he has the game's initial first down, takes it to the 48-yard line, tackled there by Jay Taylor.
Pittsburgh wastes no time going right against Jay Taylor, who has been the replacement for Dale Carter, the #1 draft pick from a year ago, out with a broken arm. The first pass they throw, they work against number 27, Jay Taylor. Came in a trade from Phoenix. They like him here at Kansas City, but he probably is not the good man-for-man cover that Dale Carter is.
Green sets up on the right side. No score early first quarter. And here's Thompson going nowhere. Stopped 2 yards back of the line of scrimmage by Derek Thomas.
I think Derek Thomas likes to start a game off like that, making a big play on a running play. He's very sensitive to being criticized as a one-dimensional player. We've got a Kansas City Chief down on the field. That's Merrill Hodge. But Derek Thomas is so sensitive to being labeled as nothing more than a speed guy from outside. Look at him fight off the block of the tight end, gets upfield, and makes the big hit for a loss. Good play by Thomas.
Hodge down, injury timeout.
Here on Thompson. Here's Merrill Hodge, and watch what happens to him as he's hit by Tracy Rogers. Hodge knows the play's over, and Rogers just comes in and bangs Hodge down, and Hodge goes off the field. But as far as Merrill Hodge was concerned, the play was over, and he never saw that one coming.
Hodge walked off unaided, so it's 2nd and 11, and O'Donnell gets sacked at the 40-yard line. The safety blitz, as Kansas City sent Martin Bayless in there, and this has been a huge problem of late for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They've given up 34 sacks over their last 8 games.
41 for the season, Al, and on a 2nd and long, you could just go to the bank with the fact that Kansas City and Marty Schottenheimer, with his defensive background, is going to come with the blitz. Pittsburgh, once again, didn't pick it up, and now they are in deep trouble once again. Marty Schottenheimer with that defensive background.
3rd and 17. Hodge is back in, out of the shotgun. Under pressure, Hodge on the middle screen. Gets into Kansas City territory, and Merrill Hodge breaks it down to the 27-yard line. So the man who was shaken up spends one play on the sidelines, comes back in, and they convert on 3rd and 17 as Albert Lewis makes the tackle, a 32-yard gain.
Well, now that should not work as well as it did. There was no blitz, a straight 4-man rush, a little screen underneath. Kansas City playing in a zone. Somebody should have been able to pick it up. Jaime Fields is looking right at Hodge, but Hodge, who over the past few years has become a playoff player. Performing well, getting the first down out of deep trouble.
Dermonte Dawson with a key block, the center to spring him. First down at the 27-yard line. Here's Thompson behind Hodge. He cuts inside and picks up 2. Martin Bayless making the tackle with 10:35 to go in the opening quarter and no score.
This is good play calling on the part of the Pittsburgh offensive people. Ron Earhart, their offensive coordinator. A nice mix of both passing and running. Kansas City and a lot of people expecting Pittsburgh, if they're going to win this game, they're going to have to do it rushing the football. They've had a lot of success throwing the ball so far, and it's been a very nice mix on this drive.
On 2nd and 7. O'Donnell with a deep drop and great protection and finds the open man. It's Jeff Graham. He takes it to the 15-yard line. tackled by Bayless. Another Pittsburgh first down.
Oh, and there's absolutely no pressure whatsoever on Neil O'Donnell, and he is an incredibly accurate passer. He does not throw the interceptions. You give him that kind of time. He's not so mobile. He doesn't move around very well, but if you just let him stand back there, he is going to get the completion. Jeff Graham comes underneath the linebacker, breaks out into the open, and O'Donnell with all the time he needed to get the delivery.
Dave Adolph, the Kansas City defensive coordinator, watching his team trying to stiffen on Pittsburgh's first drive of the game. And this is Hodge picking up 5, taking it to the 10-yard line. By the way, on that
I think their left tackle, Al, John Jackson, looked like he got caught up after this play is over. And he's limping badly. Sorry to interrupt, but this is a key member of their offensive line. Dermontti Dawson, their center, is probably their best player, but Jackson is right behind him. And if he can't continue trying to block a guy like Derek Thomas and Neil Smith from the outside, there he gets his right leg caught from behind underneath. We got to pay attention to this. This could be critical for Pittsburgh.
He looks all right, though, Dan.
9th play of the drive. It's 2nd and 5. The fake, and then O'Donnell comes back to the near side to Adrian Cooper. Touchdown. Their big tight end is Eric Green. Cooper is the other guy, and the other guy has just scored the first touchdown of postseason play.
Well, he's only 10 pounds lighter than the 280-pound Eric Green. They love to go to both of them. Eric Green, of course, the more celebrated one, but Adrian Cooper, 6'5", 270-pounder, nobody in the coverage. And hurdles the last possible defender, Jay Taylor. I'll tell you, that is a pretty agile big man, Dan.
That's not only the first touchdown of the postseason, it's Adrian's first touchdown catch of the season. He hasn't had one since last year, so how sweet that must feel.
Big 3rd down screen to Hodge, sets it up, 7-0 Pittsburgh.
Good look at the play action. And it is well executed. The fake off to the right and then all the way back cross field. Frank, a little play action confused me.
Sounded like an echo. Lonnie Marks, 51, if you saw it, got caught inside on that. It was his man.
Gary Anderson to kick off. Chiefs getting it for the 2nd time in the game. John Stevens from the 2. Back out to the 22-yard line. ABC's wild card playoff game from Kansas City is being brought to you by Nissan. It's time to expect more from a car. Cold filtered Miller Genuine Draft. Get out of the old, get into the cold. Delta Airlines. You'll love the way they fly. And the people at Nike who encourage you to just do it. What Pittsburgh did on that first drive in converting that 3rd and 17 was something that hasn't happened this year to Kansas City. The Chiefs all year long never yielded a first down on 3rd and 15 or longer. But they did there. And then Pittsburgh cashes in on the 10-yard pass to Cooper. Now Montana on first down, too high for Marcus Allen. So it'll be 2nd and 10.
When the strength of your team is your defense and your head coach is a former defensive coordinator, everything is geared around that defense. And when the opponent takes the ball early in the ball game, marches it down the field and scores quickly, psychologically that can be a real blow to your team. And right now Kansas City, in somewhat of a state of wonderment, is what Bill Cowher's Pittsburgh Steelers have done to them early. This is a team that believes and relies on defense.
O'Donnell was 4 for 4 on that first drive. Montana is 0 for 3. And here's Allen exploiting a hole. And a first down. The Chiefs first out to the 40-yard line. Greg Lloyd makes the tackle. 17-yard gain for Marcus.
And the wily, crafty veteran with good running, Marcus Allen, who has meant so much to this Kansas City Chiefs team, lost a little in the shadow of Joe Montana, but he has really reemerged as a genuine star. Once again, I watched the little move to the outside, the plant of the left foot. Maybe the acceleration is not what it used to be, but there's still enough of it that he is a very effective runner, a very heady runner.
7:55 left first quarter, 7-0 Pittsburgh. Here's Allen on first down, picking up 2. Marcus to the 42. What they've been doing with Marcus of late is resting him a lot. He hasn't played much over the past couple of weeks at Minnesota and last week against Seattle, as Schottenheimer has primed him for the playoffs. In postseason history, yards per carry, minimum 100 carries, nobody's been better than Marcus Allen. 5.75, a spectacular average. Remember, the league average normally is about 4. This year, 3.9. On 2nd and 8, the pass is a little underthrown and incomplete, intended for J.J. Burton, who was covered by Woodson.
Well, right now you've got to say to yourself, how are these gloves that Joe Montana is wearing, how are they working so far?
You know, you touched on something a little earlier too, Dan. Maybe they should be thinking a little bit more about stretching that Pittsburgh defense, because Montana in the last 7 games has not thrown a completion over 33 yards, and the Steelers are up there. They're playing them tight. They're jamming the receivers, and it's going to be difficult to throw underneath. That's where he'd like to throw, but it's going to be difficult.
Well, he got hit on his first attempt, so you can't take that in for anything meaningful. But since then, the ball has been high, it's been low, it's been all around.
3rd down and 8. And Montana this time throws it out of bounds, so he's been high, low, and wide.
All right, it's time to take off the gloves, Joe.
Yep. Yes, you're right.
I don't care how good they felt yesterday or even today, and how good it felt to you, Lynn Swan, on the sidelines. If you're not used to doing something, it's awkward and difficult. And when you play as many years as he has, you're 37 years old. I don't think you start with new toys.
When you've started 19 playoff games without gloves, I'm not sure that the 20th is the right time to do it. Of course, I'm speaking from all my wonderful quarterbacking experience.
Right. And your playoff experience. Here's Barker. Sending it down to the 14-yard line. Hey,
I see.
We cover the earth here. What can I tell you?
The gloves are off up here, too, right?
Monday lineup, day 1. About 20 degrees in Kansas City, but bright sunshine, cloudless sky. 7-0 Steelers. They have it at the 14-yard line. And this is Thompson taking it out to the 24-yard line. Barry Foster, their key guy last year, but we saw him on a Monday night in mid-year injure his ankle, subsequent surgery. And thus it is Thompson now, their feature back. Pittsburgh at Kansas City, the longest current streaks, most wins on the road versus an opponent. Buffalo's won 7 at New York. The Saints have won 7 in Anaheim, so have the 49ers. And Pittsburgh has won 6 games in Kansas City. The last time Pittsburgh beat the Chiefs in Kansas City, it was at Old Municipal Stadium. First and 10 from the 25. O'Donnell, who was very sharp on that first drive, throws this one too high, intended for Jeff Graham, and the coverage was very good. Jay Taylor right there with him.
Once again, though, good protection for O'Donnell. That was just fine coverage on the part of Jay Taylor. O'Donnell, again, is not active back there in the pocket. He needs to be protected, and he got it once again. Just good coverage and forced him to throw it away.
This is a vaunted Kansas City pass rush. There's Sally Amua in the middle. Nothing but a power rush, then a spin. But he's working against the class center in the NFL, and that's number 63, Dermontti Dawson. There's nobody better in the game right now.
2nd and 10, Thompson in motion, 6:13 to go in the quarter. Merrill Hodge out to the 29-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and about 5. Lonnie Martz makes the tackle.
Again, a good mix by Ron Earhart. That's him in the middle. And, of course, we saw him call one of the almost perfect games early in the year when the Steelers beat Buffalo 23-0, mixing it up beautifully. He's been around a long time. He's seen it all, 37 years as a coach, and here is the youngster that he works under, 36-year-old Bill Cowher.
3rd and a long 4. O'Donnell operates from the shotgun, throws, catches made up at the 38-yard line by Ernie Mills, his first catch of the day, and another Pittsburgh first down.
Good concentration by Mills. That's the kind you go back to the huddle and you look at O'Donnell and say, just a little lower, please. I want to play a little more in my lifetime.
Neil Smith, I think, complaining that he was held. All defensive linemen complained that they were held. Another example of good pass protection, and that was a just superb catch with the ball way behind it. Look at that. That is sensational work by Mills.
From the 37-yard line, here's Thompson swinging by Thomas and then running smack into Kevin Ross coming up from the secondary. Ball loose, but the play is dead.
If you were to draw up a tackle and illustrate it, that's exactly what it would look like. The one that Kevin Ross just put on right there. It's going to be coming at us here on the near side. It is a perfect shoulder tackle, and Thompson will stop immediately. That is where forward progress halts at the moment of impact. Good work by Ross.
Ross missed last week with a hip injury. He's obviously 100%.
On 2nd and 8. O'Donnell throws it away. Good coverage that time because the Chiefs had sent a couple of linebackers. Tracy Rogers was chasing him. The coverage was there, though, and O'Donnell throws it away. 3rd down and 8.
So right about that coverage. They picked up the blitz. Good protection for O'Donnell. He kind of ambled out to the right, still couldn't find the open receiver. Good coverage back there, number 51 for Kansas City, Lonnie Martz.
With the state of the Chiefs secondary, I don't think they want to gamble very much with a lot of all-out blitzing and force those guys into single coverage back there. It's kind of a quandary for the Chiefs.
3rd down and 8. Thomas gets double teamed, and the pass is knocked down by Albert Lewis in his 11th year. And Marty Schottenheimer telling us yesterday he's never played better.
Well, he's got 38 career interceptions. He has been to the Pro Bowl 4 times and having just an outstanding year in this, his 11th season. And he gets away with a lot of things, too, because he's been around. He's done it so often. That time he might have slipped his hand in there with the look of the left arm, working on the hip, but he hides it well enough. Fine play.
Mark Royals to kick. Danon Hughes, a rookie from Iowa, back to receive it because Dale Carter is hurt. And from the 10, Hughes brings it back to the 24. Chiefs get it there. 4 minutes to go. First quarter. AFC wildcard game. 7-0 Pittsburgh.
Most heat leaves your body through the head. That's certainly the case with Leon Searcy sitting on the Pittsburgh sideline. And there are the gloves worn at the beginning of this game by Joe Montana, who's decided to go it barehanded.
He has not completed a pass. He was 0 for 5 with the gloves. And without them, well, he's 0 for 1.
Well, he should have been 1 for 1. It was a little high, but certainly catchable by McNair. Take it back, that's J.J. Burden.
Ordinarily sure-handed J.J. Burden. A little more than you would expect Montana to have on that ball, though he has a great underneath touch, and that time he had just a little bit on it.
One thing about those gloves, Dan Marino doesn't have to worry about Montana taking his commercial away from him.
Says we're already past the holiday season anyway.
Right.
0 for 6, numbers you don't normally associate with Joe Montana.
2nd and 10 from the 25. Steelers leading 7-0 late in the first quarter. And that's dropped. Willie Davis was there, and Montana now 0 for 7. Rod Woodson with the coverage.
Could have been caught by Willie Davis, but fine coverage on Woodson, who is shadowing Willie Davis around the field. Montana with fine protection. Again, keeping the passes high percentage, throwing underneath, and drawing the type of coverage you'd expect. But the Steelers have been watching Montana. They are aware that principally he has been an underneath and a finesse passer, high percentage stuff.
3rd down and 10. We saw Kevin Green eyeing the snap, and we've got a whistle. Our first of the day. Keith Cash was moving, the tight end. The referee today is Gary Lane.
False start, offense, number 89, prior to the snap, 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
Keith Cash, a former Pittsburgh Steeler, in the double tight end situation. We talked about it earlier that the last 7 games he hasn't had one over 33 yards. That might have a lot to do with his outside receivers too, who are really not capable of breaking big stuff.
On 3rd and 15. Montana guns one for a first down. His first completion to Willie Davis. And Joe took a hit. It was Donald Evans who came roaring in to knock him down.
That one he was right on target. Took a big shot from Donald Evans, but Willie Davis against a Steeler zone this time. Montana read the zone beautifully, laid it in right where he had to, and paid the price.
When Evans started right up the middle, Montana took that hit flush right after he threw the football, and his ribs were exposed. Joe's right arm had crossed over, and He took the helmet right in the right ribs by Donald Evans. And not only that, then driven into the ground by Evans.
And he will have to come out for at least one play. There's an injury timeout right now as Dave Craig loosens up.
Well, but a good look at the read that Montana had. He had to hold on to the ball till Davis cleared the underneath man. As you can see, they're in the zone, and a good catch on the part of Willie Davis.
It's a good thing he was that open, guys, because any sort of a hit while he's trying to gain control of that football would have jarred it loose. And Montana looks bad as he comes to the sidelines. He does not appear to be full of vim and vigor. Well, and here comes Craig.
As you know, he has missed a lot of time this year. In fact, he took only 56% of the snaps this season, and Craig took the other 44%.
And Montana doesn't exactly have fond memories of the last time he was in a playoff game. Against the New York Giants, it was the shot by Leonard Marshall that broke Joe's hand and all sorts of other problems.
And then, in effect, he didn't play for 2 more seasons because of the elbow and back problems. And we've got flags. Oh, we have 4 flags because of a little skirmish between Hayes and D.J. Johnson. 4 flags came in.
Well, Hayes was involved earlier. Jonathan Hayes, a lightning rod early on here in this ball game. A guy who's really blossomed as a receiver for Kansas City. Marty Schottenheimer told us yesterday he's really become a much better receiver than he ever thought possible.
Well, that's because it never went to him. And when Paul Hackett brought the West Coast offense in, the tight end is such a key part of that offense. And Jonathan Hayes, his largest number of receptions in a given year were 9. He's 24 this year.
But I think his point there, Frank, was that as they are laying out this offense and wondering how big a role is the tight end going to play.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 44. He has been ejected.
Whoa!
Oh, that hurts.
First down.
That hurts your team. Get ejected. He is one of the fine cornerbacks.
I think this is a request for an explanation.
Yeah. Well, that's what happened when 4 flags are thrown. I suspected that it might be a little bit more than your normal unsportsmanlike conduct or personal foul penalty.
An irate cower and a jubilant crowd at Arrowhead. And I'm sure a very upset D.J. Johnson that he's out of here.
Well, D.J. Johnson is a guy who, in effect, helped Pittsburgh get here today, because last week as Cleveland was driving at the end of the game, he broke up 2 passes in the end zone where Cleveland was attempting to tie it and send it into overtime. And now Johnson's been thrown out.
And he's one of the better cornerbacks in this game. You don't hear that much about him because of Rod Woodson. He gets all the action over on the other side, and he is a fine performer. They will miss him.
Well, whatever he did, which was way downfield, let's keep in mind that it was seen by lots of people, all of whom simultaneously threw their flags. So this was not an isolated case of just one official seeing something and having to stand alone with it. Everybody saw it.
It's a first down at the 43-yard line. Dion Figures, the rookie, the #1 draft choice. Baptism by fire now. Huge hole through the middle, and breaking it down to the 27-yard line is Kimball Anders.
Kenny Wolf, our producer, is telling us that we're being told that away from the ball, D.J. Johnson kicked one of the Kansas City players. We're assuming it was Jonathan Hayes that kicked him in the head. And that, you don't even get to stay on the bench. D.J. Johnson heads for the locker room.
So far away from the play, we didn't even have the coverage on it. I mean, there's absolutely no call for it. That really hurts your football team.
D.J. Johnson's going to be a free agent after this season. A man desperately hoping his Steelers club wins so he can play again next week.
At the 27, 2:25 to go in the quarter. Marcus Allen gets wrapped up after a pickup of about 4. Levon Kirkland making the tackle. 7-0. The Steelers on top. If Pittsburgh wins, they would go to Buffalo next Sunday, or make it, that's the Saturday game.
Look
at Johnson.
He's going up the tunnel. As you walk up the tunnel here at Arrowhead Stadium, the fans are right there, and can't speculate as to what happened while he's walking up that tunnel. It doesn't pay to get in any sort of a verbal battle with the fans in the stands. Especially not when you're a target. They can throw something on you from there.
2nd and 6, and Dave Craig, the play fake, and a great catch made in the end zone. Burden for the touchdown.
Oh, and what a number J.J. Burden put on Rod Woodson. A drive to the inside, a pump fake by Dave Craig, a plant of the left foot, a break to the outside. It's absolutely a classical zig-out move by Burden. Woodson has been known to go for this kind of action on a receiver before. He's very aggressive, number 26. He's very quick. Look at the move to the inside. The left foot planted. Woodson totally turned around, and then Burden with a spectacular catch because he had to look to the outside to bring it in. That is beautiful.
How great is that? There it is, coming right at us. Boy, and you are so right, Frank. It does not get any better than that, with the receiver making the break to the post and then back to the corner.
Lowry. Wild series. The ejection, the injury to Montana. Craig comes in, Burden the catch, and we're tied at 7.
We'll give you a look here at what D.J. Johnson reacted to. Some sort of liquid is sailing out of the stands. You see it right there, pelting the entire group that's taking him off the field. DJ, the wise thing there, I know they're throwing stuff on you. That's going to happen. Just expedite your departure. Get up the tunnel and get out. And Rod Woodson, the guy who really has to pick up the slack now in the Steelers secondary, feeling a little warm here on a very cold day as he was scorched pretty bad by J.J. Burden.
1:39 remaining in the first quarter. 7-7. Woodson and Dwight Stone are back to receive. Nick Lowry to put it in the air. It's a short kick. Woodson from the 12. Back to the 24. Report from the Chiefs bench. Joe Montana simply had the wind knocked out of him. Will come back. Kansas City drive, meanwhile, helped along by the D.J. Johnson penalty. It would have been 2nd and 12 instead of 1st and 10, 75 yards. 7 plays. J.J. Burden, the 23-yard touchdown reception from Dave Craig.
And I think it says a little something about the quality quarterbacking they have here in Kansas City. Dave Craig is not your average backup quarterback.
67,000 yards between them. That's not bad.
No.
O'Donnell, the fake on first down. Backpedal, sets up the screen. Merrill Hodge, who broke one earlier, is out of bounds up at the 34-yard line, very close to a first down. Martin Bayless running him out.
Well, you don't know how long it'll continue, but in the early going, this first quarter, the Pittsburgh Steelers offensive game plan is set up beautifully. Ron Earhart, the veteran offensive coordinator, they come with the screen when you get Kansas City Chiefs dropping off, and it works. They picked up the blitz. They're giving plenty of protection to Neil O'Donnell, just doing a fine job thus far.
This after they'd gone the last 7 games of the regular season without scoring a point in the first quarter. Stone in motion. On 1st and 10, Thompson goes next to nowhere. He is wrapped up by Darren Mickle. And that was a 2nd and short, and that should be enough as Gary Lane takes a look to move the 6. It is a first down.
Well, the one thing that the Pittsburgh Steelers have seen so far is a good start by their offensive line. There was some early pressure on Montana, but since then, their run blocking has been crisp. Their pass protection has been solid. This is really a good-looking unit, and they have gotten off to a good start.
1st and 10 from the 35-yard line. Another screen, this time to Thompson, but he can barely get going. Tracy Simeon is there to knock him down after a gain of a yard on what figures to be the final play of the opening quarter. Bill Cowher, completing his 2nd season, took the Steelers to the playoffs last year, but they were knocked out by Buffalo. Now they come in as the 6th seed. And at the end of the first quarter, it's Pittsburgh 7, Kansas City 7. Back we come from Arrowhead after this commercial message and a word from our ABC stations.
Well, I talked to DJ outside the Steeler locker room, He said the reason why he kicked Tim Barnett was because he felt that Tim Barnett cut him. He went low about the knees after the play was over. He didn't understand why he was ejected because of a personal foul. So I asked him, did you connect on the kick? He says, yeah, I hit him pretty good. Frank?
All right, Lynn, it's 2nd down and 9 as Leroy Thompson takes it out to the 43-yard line. Pelham McDaniels is there to make the tackle.
When
as the second
it comes to hitting people down on the field, guys, you can get away with some fisticuffs, but a kick is going to get you the boot every time. You cannot kick anybody in this league. The officials will throw you out 100% of the time.
Well, I'm glad they do. It has no place in this game. Well, they acted quickly, and interestingly enough, this is the first playoff game. It might have also been a way to send a message throughout the playoffs just how much tolerance is going to be allowed.
3rd and 3 at the 42-yard line. The inside handoff out of the shotgun to Merrill Hodge, and he has enough for a first down. He takes it to the 46. Martin Bayless comes up to pop him.
Boy, and you're with us earlier. You saw John Jackson, who had caught his leg under a Kansas City Chief, and he almost left the game. He stayed in, but he is now having a very difficult time, Dan. He had a hard time getting up off the carpet then.
Well, we've seen players rolled up a lot of times, and that looked serious when he went under. I think he's very fortunate to still be in here.
On first down, it's dropped at the 50. That is Eric Green, their leading receiver this season, with 63 catches and averaged 15 yards a reception, which is a lot for a tight end. In fact, this year it was a lot for anybody.
This one could have been caught. He just had a great year, the year that they've been expecting for a long time since they took him first in 1990. Prior to this year, he had 41 receptions 2 years ago, and this year just having a superb season. Big play man, too. As big as he is, he can still break it off.
2nd and 10 at the 46-yard line. And the catch is made by Jeff Graham, out of bounds, very close to that first down marker. ABC's Wild Card Playoff game is being brought to you by the new Dodge, a division of the Chrysler Corporation, and the wine cellars of Ernest and Julio Gallo, who invite you to take a new look at Chardonnay. We caught a glimpse of Neil Smith before. He's had a cold and has congestion. He's on the bench. And Derek Thomas has just come off after the last play. He was favoring his shoulder. There's a look at Smith.
Well, that's 23 sacks between them, Al.
So the two key guys for the moment are out as Thompson is tackled by Bayless at the line of scrimmage, the 44-yard line. Smith now back in the game. Now the other report we're getting, bruised ribs for Montana, in addition to having the wind knocked out of him. And they are saying his return is probable. A lot of stuff going on.
Joe has really put together a nice string since the middle of November, where he's been healthy after a rocky first half of the season where he was in and out of the lineup with a variety of problems, the biggest a bad hamstring, and now it's ribs that have forced him out.
2nd and 10 at the 44-yard line. O'Donnell rolling to buy time, a lot of time, but the coverage was there in the Chiefs secondary, and Neil Smith forces him out of bounds.
Well, I think O'Donnell had somebody change that play up on him. They had no one going deep whatsoever. They had about 3 wide receivers within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage, and O'Donnell is not going to, not the kind of guy that's going to turn something like that into any kind of advantage for Pittsburgh.
And I think Neil Smith wanted to do more than just force Neil O'Donnell out of bounds.
Watch this, O'Donnell looking down, nobody's there. Stone hooks up. Jeff Graham hooks up. The Chiefs defense just smothers it, and they lose yardage.
3rd and 14, so both Smith and Thomas are back in now. O'Donnell, good protection, finds the open man. That's a first down to the 28-yard line. The catch made by Ernie Mills, his second of the afternoon.
Wow, but what a pass on the part of O'Donnell. He had that much celebrated tendonitis early in the year, and they joked about it and kidded about it, and whether he could throw this week or whether he couldn't throw another week. But this one, he really got in there. The coverage again by Taylor as they come back to the man who's replaced Dale Carter. But that was a well-thrown football by Neil O'Donnell, and he was well protected again.
A perfect pocket up front. Watch how O'Donnell is able to step into his throw. It's all starting there for Pittsburgh.
Here's Thompson to the 24-yard line. That's a gain of 4. 2nd and 6. 11:20 to go first half. 7-7. Arrowhead Stadium, Kansas City. It opened in 1972. So the Chiefs have played here for 22 seasons. This is only the 2nd postseason game in the history of Arrowhead Stadium.
I played in the very first game ever played here back in 1972, a preseason game between the then St. Louis Cardinals and the Kansas City Chiefs. It was a big tussle annually for the Governor's Cup. Al, you should have been there. It was special.
Yeah. 2nd and 6 as O'Donnell throws. Stone cannot stay in bounds, and a flag is down on the other side of the field.
Never did control the ball, obviously. The official right on top of it, but this was the flag that was thrown on the opposite side of the field, and the holding indicated against the Steelers, and also now Kansas City. Either that or they made a mistake. We're either going to have an offset or somebody made a mistake indicating the first foul.
Defense, number 54. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Tracy Simeon.
An erroneous point the first time around by Gary Lane.
Reverse angle.
That's could have been. Here's Green on his release, and there is the grab by Simeon.
It's a handful too.
Yeah, that's. You ought to be allowed to grab that guy. He's too big to cover any other way.
1st and 10 at the 19-yard line. Here's Thompson. And he gets by Taylor and picks up about 6 yards before Kevin Ross forces him out of bounds.
Well, if Jay Taylor thinks he's going to hand fight Leroy Thompson down to the ground, that is not going to work, Mr. Taylor. That type of an effort coming up in run support against a back of this quality in the National Football League just is not going to get it. We saw Kevin Ross make a form tackle. This is not a form tackle. This will not be put on a loop and shown to kids. That's the wrong way to go about it. And Kevin Ross has to come over and clean up.
2nd and 6 from the 15. Here's Merrill Hodge for a couple. Takes it to the 13. It'll set up a 3rd and 4. Darren Nickel makes the tackle.
Steelers moving into Eric Green, the big tight end range. I like to throw to him down here as we take a look at the numbers we spoke of a while back in postseason play by the part of Merrill Hodge, of course, playing a much bigger role, the former 3-time leading rusher for the Steelers this year because of the injury to Barry Foster in that 8th game.
3rd and 4. 9:45 left in the half. 7-7 the score. O'Donnell throws incomplete. Good coverage that time. Jeff Graham, the intended receiver.
Yeah, they're doing everything but mugging Eric Green coming off the line of scrimmage. I'm sure he was the intended receiver at that point, but they were all over him, hammered him initially, and then they just grabbed him about 6 or 7 yards downfield. Eric Green couldn't figure out what are they doing to me, he's saying. And there is there is the waltz, now the grab of the jersey.
Well, you're allowed to ride him for that 5 yards as long as you're not holding him. That was Derek Thomas working on Green.
30 yards field goal attempt for Gary Anderson is good. He made 28 of 30 during the regular season. So the Steelers pick up 3 and lead by 3.
Ankle of Neil Smith on the sidelines. We've got a great shot here. Watch him. That's Leon Searcy with his back to us, number 72. He comes off on Smith. Watch his ankle right there. You see it roll? And Neil Smith came off limping pretty good. And a good look there of his foot being grabbed by that artificial surface and rolling to the outside. They tightened up his tape job, and I'm sure that he'll be back in the ballgame. It's a good thing he's got some flexible ligaments and tendons down there.
Thomas plays that down position, but that was seriously 304 pounds. He just buckled him.
That's some good power.
And Montana appears ready to come back in the game. He caught a glimpse of Joe. Anderson kicks off. It's taken 4 yards in. John Stevens is going to come out with it. Good decision. Instead of getting in at the 20, They get it at the 31-yard line. Darren Perry makes the tackle. KC has it there. Joe coming back into the game with 9:23 left in the half. Pittsburgh 10, Kansas City 7. January afternoon, Kansas City, a place for all seasons.
The weather is different things to different people. That's Mark Spitz, I believe, preparing for another comeback.
All right. They'll be playing hockey on that pool tonight.
A hearty soul out there today.
1st and 10 from the 30-yard line, and Marcus Allen gets knocked down at the line of scrimmage by Levon Kirkland. No gain. 2nd and 10. Montana is back in the game with 9:10 to go in the half, and Pittsburgh leading 10-7.
Boy, the Steelers defense has got a lot out of Levon Kirkland and Chad Brown, 2 new inside linebackers. Brown a rookie and Kirkland only his 2nd year. They replaced veterans at those inside linebacking positions because of injuries, and they have done very well.
2nd and 10 from the 29-yard line. Marcus Allen too high. It's the 2nd time that Joe Montana could not connect with Marcus on a pass, once with gloves and this time barehanded.
That was a full blitz by the Steelers, one of their rare blitzes. Montana read it all right. Allen read with him, just off the fingertips.
Ball, for whatever reason, just floats on Joe, and it has been a very erratic start for the great one.
He is 1 for 9 for 25 yards. 3rd and 11 at the 29-yard line with a Davis in motion. Joe steps up. Joe finds the open man at the 42. Flag goes down. Barnett makes the catch. Momentarily has the 1st down, and let's see about the call.
As I say, yesterday when we asked Marty Schottenheimer to talk about Montana, one of the things he likes so much about him is the way he moves in the pocket. As you see the indication of holding going against the Steelers, but that was a good example of it. Kevin Green
Holding.
pressuring.
Defense, number 37. Penalties decline. 1st down.
It's Carnell Lake holding, but it was Montana feels that pressure so well. There's Carnell Lake, number 37, up on the line of scrimmage. No question about that call. As he grabs on to Keith Cash and draws the flag.
That will rarely go undetected.
15-yard gain. 1st down at the 44-yard line. Chiefs trail by 3. Montana, and again over the middle. This time it's Keith Cash, a tight end, and he picks up a Kansas City 1st down, taking it to the Pittsburgh 45-yard line.
Quick 2 completions. You forget about all the incompletions. That time, such a touch on it. Nobody around Cash, and Montana almost caught the ball for him. He put it in there so delicately. Cash with just a little turn in between linebackers, and Montana with the perfect touch and the perfect read.
Well, it's really a good part of the field for Kansas City to be working. Frank, you touched a moment ago about Brown and Kirkland both being really just 1st-year players in the middle of the field. It's a smart place for Kansas City to be.
And Cash shaken up comes off as the handoff is taken by Kimball Anders, getting to the 36. That's a gain of 9. He's tackled by Dion Figures, who normally would play in only the nickel and dime packages, but with the ejection of DJ Johnson, he's in there all the way now.
So there you have a rookie in Figures. The nose tackle, Joel Steed, in his 1st starting year, 93. Brown is a rookie at inside linebacker. Kirkland's a 2nd-year player, but just his 1st year of starting. There's a good look at Steed. This is a very young, a very active, but inexperienced group in the middle for Pittsburgh.
2nd and 1, so Montana off the play fake gets sacked. It is Gerald Williams who comes in to knock him down back at what would be the original line of scrimmage, the 44-yard line.
There's a guy that Pittsburgh needed to have back, and they got him back at the right time. He's been a good player for this franchise for the last 8 years. This is solid coverage downfield. Joe goes right, sees nothing, tries to come back left, and finally Williams got there. Tom Capers, the defensive coordinator of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it must be a heated booth where he is. He's up there in a golf shirt.
3rd and 8, just inside the 44. Davis in motion. No play.
Delay. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Third down.
So it'll be 3rd down and 13 now. Kansas City very much still trying to get in sync offensively, not only today, but for a good part of the second half of the season. I mentioned that during the pregame show, Montana, very honest in assessing his performance this year, in one word said average.
And against Pittsburgh, he has been less than average. Only a 69.8 career rating against the Steelers.
3rd and 13. He was looking for the screen. That wasn't there. Now looking to scramble.
Oh, boy.
Ooh, and he gets taken down at the 41-yard line by Brian Hinkle.
There were 77,000 collective breaths that were held here at Arrowhead Stadium.
77,001,
Yeah.
Right there.
Just looks a little frail out there, doesn't he? But he always did.
Well, you worry about a couple things. You worry about the hit, but when a guy's got a chronically bad hamstring, when he's running like this on a cold day, that's a perfect opportunity to pop that thing.
Not to mention brittle bones.
Well,
Kansas City to punt. Barker to send it down toward Woodson. Woodson's going to let it go. The kick is into the end zone.
that's not the punt he was looking for.
5:23 to go, first half.
And one that Marty Schottenheimer was looking for also.
Tomorrow, right here on ABC. Pittsburgh leading 10-7. 5:23 to go in the half. First down from the 20-yard line. And going through the middle is Leroy Thompson. He's stopped by Joe Phillips. Thompson played at Penn State. It's funny, Blair Thomas was the big back there and very heralded coming out of Penn State, winding up with the Jets. But Thompson was there, and Gary Brown, the sudden star now at Houston, was also there in the same backfield with Leroy.
Funny how that works out. And you wonder how long the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be able to keep two talents like Leroy Thompson and Barry Foster on the same roster.
2nd and 9 from the 21-yard line. And Dwight Stone makes the catch up at the 27. It'll be 3rd and 3.
Neil O'Donnell with a strong arm challenging Albert Lewis, the all-pro cornerback, one-on-one with Dwight Stone. You don't want to do it too often. Lewis is a gambler. He will make the move on the ball as good as anyone in this game. Still has the quickness even now in his 11th season, but O'Donnell has a strong arm.
How about Albert in his special teams play? Blocked another punt for a touchdown last week against Seattle. His 11th blocked kick in his career.
Neil Smith has been in and out. Is back in on 3rd and 3. O'Donnell for Graham, who'd gotten out in front, makes the catch, and he's out of bounds at the 38-yard line. He'd gotten behind Albert Lewis.
Well, Charles Bensey or Albert Lewis, one of them made a big mistake. O'Donnell, had he seen it a little earlier, might have got 6 points out of that.
Albert might have tripped up on his own guy. There was two Kansas City guys on the right side of your screen. Albert was down on the ground, at least had a hand down on the field, and he was scrambling to get back in on it. Albert Lewis was covering the receiver to the inside. Right there, you see, and Albert Lewis actually tripped over his own man.
From the 38, here's Thompson on first down. Down to the 37, a gain of 1.
You mentioned the depth at running back when Thompson came in and from Penn State. He was a 6th-round draft pick, and up until the time that Barry Foster went down in the 8th game on our Monday night game against Buffalo, he had only carried the ball 55 times in 2 years. You understand that because Barry Foster was such a major part of the offense till he got hurt. Thompson has shown awfully well.
2nd and 9. They have Stone lined up in the backfield, and Stone, no stranger to carrying the ball, takes it to the 32. Normally he lines up as a wide receiver, but he carried the ball 12 times this year and averaged 10.1 yards on the ground.
That little twilight zone now, 3rd down and a little more than 3 yards, close to 4 yards, where in the past they've been so effective with their big tight end Eric Green, but Kansas City doing a fine job chucking up Eric Green, not letting him off the line of scrimmage.
3rd and 4. 2.5 minutes to go, first half. Steelers leading 10-7. A little fake shovel and an end around to Stone, but read very well by Kansas City, and he's tackled at the 36-yard line.
Well, they've been running that all season long. Kansas City obviously well prepared for it. They also try to take it back to the short side of the field. Stone had nowhere to take it, and Kansas City with a good defensive read.
So it's fourth down coming up, and we come to the 2-minute warning with the Steelers up by a field goal.
Revenge. For Detroit, there's no place like Dome. Arch rivals collide in Game 2 of our doubleheader next on ABC.
It's fourth down now. That last play, a 3-yard loss by Dwight Stone, may have been just enough to take the Steelers out of field goal range. It would have been a 49 or 50-yard kick for Gary Anderson. He remains on the bench now, because now you're looking at a 53 or 54-yard kick.
Boy, this is a gutsy call here, Al.
Fourth down and 7. At least they're going to line up as if to go for it. With 2 minutes to go, Pittsburgh up by 3. And O'Donnell throws it, and it is dropped at the 31-yard line by Ernie Mills.
Boy, strange series. They run Stone out of the backfield, a wide receiver. They run him on a reverse on third down. They take themselves out of field goal range. Now they get the incompletion. Plenty of time left for Kansas City.
Our first of 2 from the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan. At the conclusion of this one, the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions, who met last week. The Lions gaining home field advantage with their win, locking up in the NFC wild card game. Following this one right here on ABC. Now, after they cannot convert on fourth down, Kansas City takes over, and Montana's pass is through the hands of Willie Davis. A little high, but very catchable. Chad Brown came charging in to knock Montana down. Joe is now 3 of 12 for 51 yards.
You look at the shadows on the field, you know that Willie Davis was looking right back into the sun. See the shadows? Montana throwing right on the shadows. One that could have been caught, perhaps should have been caught, but nevertheless, Willie Davis looking right back into that settling sun.
1:51 remaining in the half. Chiefs have all of their timeouts. Pittsburgh on top 10-7. Montana throws underneath to Allen. Nice spin move to get away, and then he takes it to the 50. Parnell Lake couldn't make the tackle. Left in his tracks in the first down. Darren Perry finally stops him.
That's almost not fair, Frank.
Yeah, but that's sure isn't it fun to watch? Look to the veteran, to the great all-pro, to make the play when you need it, and watch him spin away from this tackle. Beautiful.
From the 49, he throws an out to Cash, but that's only a 3-yard gain. Keith Cash out of bounds at the Pittsburgh 48, 2nd and 7 with 1:21 remaining.
It would mean an awful lot to Kansas City if they can move the football. They have been sputtering and not getting it done throughout the entire first half. They're still, however, within 3 points of the Steelers. If they can get a drive, get some points up there, if they can get a touchdown up on the board, it's going to make a big difference to this team in the second half.
They have 1:21. 3 timeouts. Joe Montana at quarterback. Perfect time enough to go have a sandwich when it's over.
2nd and 7 from the 48. The blitz, it's picked up. Cash makes the catch. He gets to the 43. It'll be 3rd down and 2. Tackled by Gary Jones.
Montana looked to the sidelines.
Kansas City will use its first timeout.
He didn't really want to. He looked over and Marty said, yeah, let's take it.
So play coming up. Time. Marcus Allen will be featured, and we had a chance to visit with him yesterday. You'll see that. Brent Musburger, Dick Vermeil are in Pontiac, Michigan, to tell you about the Lions and the Packers coming up. We'll sum up the first half here, which at the moment sees the Steelers leading 10-7, but the Chiefs at the Pittsburgh 43-yard line come up to the line of scrimmage, 3rd down and 2. Kansas City with 2 timeouts remaining. And they try to get the first down on the ground, and Marcus Allen with that second lunge just may have done it. If nothing else, he came a lot closer.
Yeah.
Evans is there to make the tackle. It does not appear that he has it.
No, this would have to be the spot of the century to pick up the first down. And Kansas City, in the confusion after that play, let about 7 or 8 extra seconds burn off the clock. Second, third, and fourth effort here by Marcus Allen will almost certainly leave them a tad short. Marcus Allen right here, he loses a shoe, but he runs into his own guy, Barnett, who ends up knocking him to the ground. I think Marcus probably would have driven far enough forward to pick up for the first down.
One thing you can count on, he's going to get it again. He is the guy that Marty Schottenheimer will just openly tell you, short yardage, goal line, I want the football in Marcus Allen's hands. He can do magic.
4th and a short 1. They have 1 timeout left, 59 seconds remaining in the half. Allen lined up behind Montana. The fake, and then Joe goes down, and Joe is tackled at the 49-yard line. So Kansas City risking it at midfield, going for it, and now Pittsburgh's in great shape at the 49-yard line. And the Steelers have all 3 timeouts remaining.
I think he ran into Marcus. I think Joe and Marcus tangled legs, and that's what drove Montana to the ground. It was a play action fake. Everybody in the stadium expecting Marcus to get it. Let's watch their feet. Yep, right there, their feet collided, and Joe ends up just going down. And all of a sudden, what looked like a promising opportunity for Kansas City now looks like another shot at Pittsburgh putting some points on the board.
Jonathan Hayes, there it is again. Jonathan Hayes, the tight end, was the intended receiver. He put on the block. That could have been a big play, even a touchdown.
First down, Pittsburgh out of the shotgun. And everybody covered.
Yeah, Pittsburgh's been running an awful lot of screens so far in this ball game, and that was well defensed by Kansas City. Jaime Fields, the linebacker, the rookie, really showing more savvy than you'd expect from a rookie in a playoff position. There's Fields right there. Very popular guy.
Little, man. Yeah. He's only 5'11". That's small for a linebacker, but very active. And they like him a great deal. 4th-round draft pick this year.
And very wise. He played that screen well.
2nd and 10 at the 49. Steelers lead by 3. And falling down was Eric Green. The pass was right there, and Green just slipped to the turf. 3rd down. Derek Thomas putting the pressure on O'Donnell.
John Jackson, the left tackle, we talked about how he got hurt early. He's really struggling against Derek Thomas. There's Jackson right there. Thomas that time just threw him out of the way and came back to the inside. Watch this move here by Derek Thomas. He's going to go upfield and then work back inside, and Jackson that's not his game. He's gamely trying to keep this guy away from his quarterback.
3rd and 10. This time he gets help on Thomas, and the pass thrown into coverage is incomplete, but there is a flag down.
Neil Smith trying to anticipate a count, trying to get a rhythm from Neil O'Donnell, and he just guessing with the snap count was offside.
By a bunch.
By a bundle.
Offside, defense, number 90, 5-yard penalty, remain 3rd down.
Well, this guy makes a living out of making other people jump, but you could see Neil Smith was a full stride across the ball.
Third and 5 at the Kansas City 46-yard line. 41 seconds. And 3 timeouts at the Steelers' disposal. With protection, finds Graham over the middle. First down at the 35-yard line. Martin Bayless makes the tackle, and the Steelers utilize their first timeout with 33 seconds remaining in the first half. Kansas City, Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Dierdorf. First postseason game. AFC wildcard playoff. Pittsburgh, 205 total yards. KC, 140. Montana's had a bad first half.
But Neil O'Donnell with 151 yards passing on his way to, if he keeps it up, a projected 300-yard plus day. And that is not, I don't think, what the Kansas City defensive coaches, Frank, thought that they'd see from the Pittsburgh passing game today.
And I know you like this part of it. Great protection for O'Donnell by the Steelers offensive line against a very tough pass rushing Kansas City defense.
We have a discussion going on down here on the field. There's been no play, been no flag. You wonder if maybe some confusion over the clock or the spotting of the ball. It's
Gary Lane is the referee.
yeah.
And checking with one of the sideline coordinators with 33 seconds remaining. 2 timeouts left for Pittsburgh. Right now they are still outside Gary Anderson field goal range with the ball at the 35-yard line.
Gary Anderson didn't even try a 50-yarder, did he, this year, Al?
He did not. You know, an amazing thing in the National Football League this year with all of the talk about field goals, do you know that more than half of the attempts from 50 yards and beyond
There was an
were
error
good?
in starting the clock. Please set the game clock to 35. If it cannot be set, we will keep the playing time on the field.
2 more seconds, but 61 of 120 field goals were made from 50 and beyond this year. Amazing.
You would have thought that percentage would have been a lot lower than that. It just speaks volumes about the quality of kickers in the National Football League and how proficient they are becoming at that kind of distance. Remember, hey, remember, it wasn't that long ago that a guy like Gogolak was an oddity being a soccer kicker. Look at that.
Yep.
And not putting Gary Anderson down either. He was 28 of 30, so they know his parameters.
What a huge increase, though, from 18% to 51%. And, of course, there's a Hall of Famer, Jan Stenerud, that toiled the best part of his career here in Kansas City.
And first down, O'Donnell over the middle. He's been living over the middle, but too high. Good coverage that time. Eric Green, the intended receiver.
That was Martin Bayless, and how many times do you see tight ends the size of an Eric Green going downfield being covered by a linebacker? Well, that shows you the respect that Kansas City has. They put their safety man on him man for man. They chuck him at the line of scrimmage, but they do respect this big tight end Eric Green, who came in with the 63 receptions.
Putting a safety on Green is good for the coverage part of it. The problem is then going to come if Green happens to catch the ball. What's a guy like Martin Bayless going to do with it?
Take a long ride.
You'd like a safety for the coverage, but you'd rather have a linebacker for the tackle.
Green, who led the team in receptions this year with 63, has none today. On 2nd and 10, a little shovel. They like this play. They run it a lot. Merrill Hodge picks up about 9, and now they are clearly in Anderson's field goal range with 25 seconds remaining. Jaime Fields with a tackle.
We know John Jackson is healthy. He pulled from his little shuffle pass out to the left, and it was John Jackson who made the block out in front that sprung the play for the extra yardage.
Well, it's a good play to run right at Derek Thomas. Watch Thomas. He's untouched. He tries to get blocked by the outside. Stone comes in, but that's taking advantage of Thomas's upfield burst. You can get around a guy with a play like that if he goes where you think he's going to go, and more often than not with Thomas, that's straight at the quarterback.
3rd and 1 at the 26-yard line. 25 seconds left in the half. 10-7 Pittsburgh. Hodge picks up Thomas. The catch is made by Mills. Mills with a touchdown.
Oh, and what a move by Mills.
He says Marcus isn't the only guy that can spin on this field. Take that, Marcus Allen. I can do it myself.
Boy, this has been an Ernie Mills first half. He's made some big plays. The 3rd wide receiver for the Steelers.
Well, the gamble on 4th down by the Kansas City Chiefs that ended up with Joe Montana on the ground backfires in the biggest of ways.
Remember we talked about Jay Taylor early in the game, that they were going to work on him? Well, he's replacing the injured Dale Carter, and he wasn't in bad position for the coverage. He just didn't make the play after the reception.
Pretty bizarre sequence of events as Anderson boots it through, because originally Pittsburgh took themselves out of field goal range. They went for it on 4th down, didn't make it. Kansas City then goes for it on 4th down, don't make it. And all of a sudden the Steelers, just trying to get into field goal range, instead of 3, wind up with 7 and lead 17-7 with 18 seconds remaining in the half.
Big play by the unheralded Ernie Mills, the 3rd-round draft pick a couple of years ago. Bill Cowher, the fiery enthusiasm on the sidelines. One of the guys, if you will.
Well, it's not often your team's the beneficiary of a turn of events this quickly in these type of playoff circumstances. That was really a wonderful thing that has happened to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're looking at either going into halftime tied at 10-10 or even trailing, but instead they're going to go in with a 10-point advantage.
You know what it also does, Dan and Alan, we've talked about it. This is a very noisy stadium. It's they can really disrupt your play calling, your changes at the line of scrimmage. I'll tell you, the Steelers are taking this crowd right out of it.
I think some of the noise here is cut as well by how cold it is today. Everybody's wearing gloves. Everyone is muffled. They're wearing ski masks, scarves across their faces. It's impossible for this crowd.
Cue her to do that.
Thank you very much, Greg. This is not the normal Kansas City crowd. You're right, but I think it's because of what they're wearing.
Even Montana came out wearing gloves, and that didn't work.
No, that didn't.
Taken at the 11-yard line on the kickoff from Anderson, and that sort of sums up Kansas City's first half. Stumbling and bumbling as Todd McNair goes down with 13 seconds remaining in the first half.
You know, if I was a Kansas City player, I wouldn't want to be looking at this either.
If the Steelers win this game, they would play in Buffalo next Saturday. If the Chiefs win this game, they play in Houston next Sunday. And on a kneel down, this first half comes to an end.
Neither one of those trips sounds very promising to me.
Well,
Houston is so hot.
The loser watches it on television.
Yeah. Houston is hot in, what, 11 in a row, and Buffalo's in Buffalo.
That's the end of the first half with the Steelers leading 17-7. Marcus Allen coming up as we return with halftime activities after this message from the NFL and a word from our ABC station.
Luxury automobiles, the result of a relentless pursuit of perfection. Here now, Frank Gifford.
At halftime, Arrowhead Stadium, Kansas City, in the first of two playoff games we'll bring you today on ABC. The Steelers lead the Chiefs 17-7. Well, a year ago when Marcus Allen was still a Los Angeles Raider, he talked in a Monday Night Football interview about his disintegrating relationship with Raider owner Al Davis. Yesterday, he spoke with us again on what a difference a year makes. But first, let's go back to December of 1992.
I know Al Davis would scoff at the notion that he would sacrifice the good of the whole team because of a personal vendetta. Do you feel there has been a personal vendetta with you?
No question about it. Absolutely. He told me he was going to get me. We've had conversations. I don't know for what reason, but he told me that he was going to get me. And he's done that. I think he's tried to ruin you know, the latter part of my career, try to devalue me. I think he's trying to stop me from going to the Hall of Fame.
You're in the locker room at halftime of that game. You know it's airing. What are you thinking about in the locker room at halftime of the Miami game last year?
Well, it wasn't about the third quarter plan. I was thinking, oh, it's hitting the fan now.
Do you at all regret not speaking out as directly as you did in a public sense earlier in your career?
The timing was perfect because I had filed. I was one of the plaintiffs in the free agency case. Before that, there weren't any plaintiffs, and obviously I could have just, you know, I was there in purgatory, and I could have continued to be there.
Where were you when you made the decision that it's going to be Kansas City, and what was the last thing in your mind that made the difference?
Well, I think it was Marty's persistence. And I think he was the guy that really said, listen, we want you to be a part of this team, this organization, and I know you can make a difference. And that's what I wanted to hear. And I was at home, and I said, this is it. This is the place I'm going to play.
How much of a factor was the situation in which they had signed Joe Montana? How much of a factor was that? Did that come into play at all?
Well, I'd be a blatant liar if I didn't say that was a factor, but and Joe would tell you this. Joe called me, and I said, Joe, I'll call you back. And I didn't call him back for a couple of weeks because I was still in my process, and I didn't want him to influence it. And but I mean, obviously he did down the stretch. I mean, when you have a guy like that, I mean, the opportunity to play with him, and I think the possibility of what the Chiefs could become, and I wanted to be a part of that.
I know you want to go to the Hall of Fame. Do you think you'll be elected to the Hall of Fame?
I mean, I hope it's measured much more than just statistics. Hopefully my statistics will be up there, but and I think I've contributed a lot to the game. I think I've made a difference. I think I've affected some people along the way. I think I feel good about that. I'm excited about that. I think I've made my mark, and that's all you can do.
The Chiefs win this one. They go to Houston next Sunday, and should Pittsburgh continue to lead, win the game, they will move on to Buffalo, and Al, it looks like they want to go to Buffalo.
Well, they're doing it the way they have to do it, and that is without turning the ball over. A very efficient passing game led by Neil O'Donnell, running the ball well enough and defensively playing very, very well. On the other side of the coin, Dan, we talked about it at the beginning. Joe Montana was brought here not to get them to the playoffs, but through the playoffs, and he's got to get them through this one first.
I'm thinking of a couple of things. One, the statistic we put up talking about his career rating against the Steelers, over 90 against everybody else against Pittsburgh, like 68. And of course, we've seen that so far here during this game already. 6 of 15 for 73 yards, including starting this game at 0-7. Another halftime of passing like that, and the Chiefs are going to lose this ballgame.
Okay, and again, everything seemingly going well for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Second half coming up in just a moment. Stay with us as our playoff action continues.